Kia ora, Piers. Kia ora koutou. Kia ora, Michael. That was really, really interesting stuff. Tēnei te mihi kia koutou katoa. Nā mihi nui kia koutou. E mihi ana ki ngā mana whenua hurunga o Pōneke, Te Whangarui a Tara, Tāmaki Makaurau. Nō reira ko Alec Tang tōku ingoa. Hey everybody, really lovely to be here. I'm not going to talk too much about the models. Michael's provided a really nice set of things to think about. What I want to try and reflect on, and I've just got three slides I want to share with you. And the focus for these three slides is on mainstreaming. And I guess insights, reflections from the last 7 years, as Piers has said, adjacent to nearby local and central government, as well as more recently and prior to that time in government or adjacent to government in the business world. So just a few things, which it sounds like hopefully building on, not repeating too much some of the things that you guys have heard. The first thing is just this, and apologies, I don't know how big it's on the screen, but hopefully you can read it. And this is just something that I threw together once just to try and articulate some of the needs and challenges of this transformational change that we all recognize that we need. And so if I start in the top left-hand corner, fundamentally, and it sounds like you've been talking about this a little bit, to get that transformational change, we really need the shift in the balance of interest and activity amongst the people. And the kind of purple inverted pyramid that you see, hopefully, is something that you'll recognize. There's lots of studies that talk about the populace, that at the moment there's a large proportion of folk that are disengaged in issues of climate change, biodiversity loss, the challenges of our economic settings, and then trending down towards cautious, concerned, and alarmed. And fundamentally, what we need is to flip that inverted pyramid, that we need more folk. We don't need everyone, but we need more folk that are trending towards that bottom end, that concern, that alarm. And that's the pressure that you need, the constituency that you need, that builds the pressure on the politics necessary for change in the bottom left-hand corner in the pink. But in order to make that flip happen, it's really important that we need to raise this awareness of both the why and the what. And this is something that hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about, where we've often tended towards some of the why, some of the what, and never really brought the two together. And when I say the why, the criticality of, yes, the science, but the recognition of the politics in terms of interests and asymmetries. I'm glad you kind of touched upon more deliberative methods of engagement, which I'd love to kind of dive into, and the economics, and really getting people, and this is the populace, so more people on the grassroots around the traps understanding the flaws and assumptions of our economic settings and the opportunities of thinking differently about them. And then the what, and the key actions that we need to take, and again, we'll hopefully come back to why that is challenging for whether it's a broader scale kind of growth appetite or climate change, that the actions can be confusing, can be complex. There are multiple different ways of addressing different aspects of our challenge, and that is confusing and that is challenging to get a crisp answer to. And so those things are really critical, right, to build that pressure, because we know that the politics is necessary, or change in politics is necessary with change. And just the bottom left-hand corner, it's really important to recognize that there, whilst we try and build that constituency for change, there are interests and influences that try and hold on to the current status quo. So that's one thing I wanted to throw out there. The second thing I want to throw out here is just to remember this model of an iceberg that we've all probably seen in various different guises. And the key thing here is that the events and the behaviors that we're seeing of people, of organizations, of governments, of businesses are fundamentally founded on a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of things around structures and mental models. And so it's really important that as we try and affect that change, we don't just see the behaviors that we're disagreeing with or we're seeing as not quite going as far enough, and really understanding why that is the case. Michael mentioned targets. fundamentally, if we don't change the targets and measures, then we're always going to end up in the same place. So really trying to understand those structures and then those mental models. So hopefully we'll get a chance. Earlier on this week, I facilitated a panel discussion on equitable transitions. There's some really interesting and important messages that we need to hear about why change is so challenging for people who are currently going to be worst impacted by climate change. And then the final slide before I hand over is the recognition that at the heart of any shift that we need is teamwork. Is recognizing that we can't do this in isolation, that we can't go it alone, that we need to find ways of working together and across historic silos and across differences of opinion, because that is so important at a societal level that we get the move forward together and try and shift us in a collaborative sense. So I'll leave it there. I'm really looking forward to some chat with you all.
Thank you very much, Alex.